Here we are invoking the function. So getNum and a1.showData, we are invoking or we are calling this function inside main function. Inside the class, we can have member data and member function under this. And here we have, there are three types of access specifiers. They are private, protected, and public. Dear students, welcome to Computer Science Revision Classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Students, let us start our revision class with the chapter Classes and Object, chapter 7. Now the weightage of the chapter is 6 marks, 1 5 marks question and 1 MCQ. So total weightage of the chapter is 6 marks. Let us start with the difference between the procedural programming and object-oriented programming. So far in our previous lessons, we have discussed about object-oriented programming. Now let us differentiate what is object-oriented programming and procedural programming. And you can look at the table here. So under procedural programming, we are dealing with variables and here are objects. And here user-defined data types, and here we're using classes. And structure, they have a structure members and instance variables. And they have, it is called as functions and it is called as methods. And function call, and here is message passing. So if you remember this, these are the concepts we have discussed in our previous lesson. So, and this is about object-oriented programming, and this is a procedural programming. So these are the differences between procedural programming and object-oriented programming. It is a very important question from examination point of view. Now look at let us start with the introduction. Here we start with the definition. So here, to combine the data variables along with the appropriate functions for manipulation of these objects, the concept of classes was introduced. So we have learned in our previous chapter or previous session, what is a class? It is a class is a group of objects of similar behavior and characteristics. And also we have learned the class contains the member methods as well as data members, and member methods which operates on data members, and the class declaration. Now next we have to learn how to declare a class with respect to programming. So here the class declaration defines new user defined data type. So here class is a user defined data type, and that link data and the code that manipulate the data. In other words, a class combines data elements and functions into a single entity. So this is what we have discussed in our previous session. Now classes combines both data elements and operation associated with the data. And the data elements in a class are called member data. So here member data is nothing but data variables, and the function associated with the data members are called member functions. So class contains member data as well as member function. So this is the definition of a class. Now let us see how to define a class. How to define a class? So here a class definition is the process of naming a class and data variables and interface operations of the class. So here next we have to define the class, and it is nothing but a process of naming a class, and along with that data members or member data, and with the member functions which are going to operate on member data. Now let us see the syntax and example of this class. So here this is a general syntax of to define a class or class declaration. So here first one is class user defined name. Here this is a reserved class is a reserved word, and this is user defined name. It represents name of a class. And again open the bracket here. Then we have private is access specifiers. Inside that we can have member data and member functions. Similarly, we have protected as another access specifier, Under that also we can have either member data or member function. Similarly, a public access specifier, member data and member function, closing the class with this bracket and semicolon. So this is the syntax of how to declare a class or how to define a class with respect to programming concept. So now let us see the explanation of this. Here, keyword class is used to declare a class. Here, the keyword class. So the class is a reserved word or a keyword. It is used to declare a class. And the user defined name is the name of the class. So here, user defined name, it is the user can write the name of a class, and it is nothing but an identifier. Again, we have to follow the rules of identifiers to write the name of a class. So that is name of a class, that is user defined name. Then it class opens the bracket here and it closes here. So this is inside this are called body of the class, and inside this the class body is enclosed in a pair of flower brackets or parentheses. So this is open bracket and this is close bracket. In between we can have members data as well as member functions. And class body contains the declaration of its members and data and function. So here we can declare the variables or member data and also member functions which is going to operate on this data inside a class. And these are generally, there are three types of members, namely private, public and protected. So inside the class, we can have member data and member function under this. And here we have, there are three types of access specifiers. They are private, protected and public. So user can have different members data and member function under different access specifiers. So this is a syntax of how to define a class or how to declare a class. Now in the next slide, let us see an example for this. So by following the syntax, so let us see an example here, class account. So here class is a keyword and account is the user class name or user defined name. Next one is open the bracket, and here we are using private, it is access specifiers. Under that, in this example, int account number, character name of 20 and character account type size 4 and int balance amount. See, these are all called members data or data members of this class. And under public, we have this another access specifier, public access specifier. Under this, we have void get data is a member function or a function, and void display data, this is another function. So in this example, we have these are 4 data or data members or member data, and there are 2 functions which are going to operate on these data members. In this member data and member functions are enclosed between a pair of brackets. There is a pair of left and right parentheses, and we are closing the class with semicolon. That is important syntax. So this is an example for how to declare a class with respect to programming concept. Now in the next slide, let us see a simple example to show or how to work with classes and objects. So here is an example to show the use of classes and object for addition of 2 numbers. And here the program as usual starts with the header files iostream.h and conio.h. Then class test. Here again class is a reserved word and test is the class name or name of the class. Inside this, open this bracket and private access specifier, we have the 2 variables int a and comma b. So this is declaration. A and b are called data members. And after this, under public, we have one function, that is void getNum is the function, and open this and closing a bracket here. So this is function definition. So this is member function. Here getNum is a member function and this is function definition. Here we are writing a code to read 2 values, that is seen a and b. We are entering values of 2 variables here. So this is one function. Next, we have one more function here, void show data. So this is another function, and here we have function definition is going to print a plus b, means addition of two numbers. Then we are closing the function here, and this is we are closing the class here with semicolon. So this is what you have learned in the previous slide, how to define a class. So accordingly, this class definition is over, declaration and class definition. Next, again, we have to write void main function, because in C++ we must have void main function. So we have to write void main function, and here first is to clear screen, and next one is test A1. So if you observe this, this is creation of object A1. So in this example, we are creating an object A1. So if you look at this syntax here, the syntax is test space A1. Here test is name of the class. If you observe this, the name of a class is test here. So this is the class name space variable is identifier or user defined name. It is A1 in this example. It is an object here. So the A1 is an object of a class test. Next, we have to access the data members. We have to access the member function. So here in the previous, we have declared there are two functions. One is getNum and next one is show data. So we have to access this through an object here. So A1 is an object, A1 dot getNum. So here we are invoking the function. So getNum and A1 dot show data, we are invoking or we are calling this function inside main function. After this, we are closing the void main with getCH and close the flower bracket. So this is a simple program to show how to declare a class and how to work with the object of that particular class. Now when you run the program, so accordingly we are supposed to enter two numbers, A and B, 50 space 60. Then the result will be addition of two numbers. It is 110 or 110. So this is a simple program to show how to declare a class definition and member data and member functions. And also we have learned how to create an object of a class and how to access member functions of a class through objects. So this is important point in this example. In the next slide, we will see next concept is access specifiers. So in the previous syntax, we have seen there are three levels of access specifier: private, public, and protected. So these access specifier, it defines the scope of the data. It defines the scope of the data. That is why we are using private, public, and protected. These access specifiers are indicated using the keywords. So here, this private, public, and protected are access specifiers, and these are also a keyword to represent different levels of access specifier, and access specifier which specify scope of the data. Now in the next slide, we will see the definition of all the three access specifiers one by one. Now let us see what is private access specifier. The private access specifier means the member data can only be accessed by the member function. So this is a types of a security, as what I have seen in the features of OOPS concept. So here private access specifier means the member data can be accessed only by the member function. I mean the member functions which are declared inside the class, only those functions have rights to access the member data of that particular class. So here members declared under private are accessible only within the class. And if no access specifier is mentioned, by default it is private. So normally if you look at the syntax here, this is a class name, class is a reserved word, class name is user defined name, and open the bracket, and here we are using private access specifier. So private is a reserved word or a keyword, colon, then we are declaring members, data members, as well as member functions, and closing the class with semicolon. So here private indicates it is a keyword, it represents private access specifier. Suppose if you don't mention the word private here, so by default it is a private access specifier. Look at the example now. Class add. Here add is name of a class. Inside that private specifier with int x comma y and void get data. This is a member data, and this is a member function or declared under the access specifier private, and close the class with semicolon. So this is the syntax and example of private access specifier. In the next slide, we will see what are public access specifier. So here public access specifier means members can be accessed by any function outside the class also. So this is a definition of public access specifier. Again, let us see the syntax of this. Class name, and here open the bracket, and here is a public access specifier. Under this we have data members as well as member function, closing the class with bracket and semicolon. Now example, class add. This is name of a class. Here class there is a word, open the bracket, and public is an access specifier with the members data as well as member function. This is the syntax and example for public access specifier. Next one is protected access specifier. So what are the definition of this? The members which are declared using protected can be accessed only by the member functions and friends of the class, and also by the member function derived from this class. So here there are 3 points to be considered, to be noted down. One is, it is member which are declared, the data members or member functions which are declared under protected are accessible by the member function of a class. Second one is friends of a class, and also by the member function derived from this class. So this is a definition of protected access specifier. Now look at the syntax of this. Class name, and here protected. So here data members and member functions are declared under the access specifier protected, close the class with semicolon. So example, class add here protected, int x comma y and void get data, and these two this is the member data and member functions are declared under the access specifier protected. So we are close the class with bracket and semicolon. So this is a syntax and example for protected access specifier. Now in the next slide, let us see syntax for accessing class members. So how do we now we know what is a class. A class consists of members data as well as member function. Now how to access those data members as well as member function of a class. So here the syntax is class object dot member data. So this is the definition of, or the syntax of how to access the data members. Next one is class object dot member functions with arguments or without argument. So this is the syntax of how to access the data members of a class. Next one is, we talk about member functions. As we know that, and each and every class can have members data as well as member functions. Now member function can be defined in two places. So it is possible to, there are two methods to define the member functions of a class. That is, one is inside the class definition, the second one is outside the class definition. There are two methods where we can define the function or member function. Now let us see the definition of inside class definition. Means we are going to learn how to write the function definition inside a class. So here the member function inside the class, the function declaration within the class is replaced by actual function definition inside the class. Now all of us know that whenever you declare a function, and each and every function which are declared must have function definition either inside or outside the class. In this example, we have to write the function definition inside the class. So accordingly, here look at the example of this. So here class name, this is the user defined name, and here this is function definition. So return type space name of a function with arguments, or it may be without argument also. Then open the bracket and a statement of statements and close the function. So here this is the function and this is the function definition inside the class. So this is open the bracket and close the class here. So inside the class we have a function definition of the function here. This is the meaning of a function definition inside the class. Now let us see a small example to show how to define the function inside the class. Now let us see an example to find area of a rectangle here. So here as the program start with the header files, header find, defining a class, class rectangle. Here class is a keyword and rectangle is user defined name. Open the bracket and under private access specifier we have two variables in data type length comma breadth. Then under public we have one function or member function, that is void get data. So under this we are writing the code here. This is the function definition. Here C in length and breadth. I mean we are reading the values of length and breadth which are declared here. Then closing the function. So we have opened the function here and this is we have closed the function here, the get data function or member function. Similarly, we have in this example we have one more function, void put data. This is the thing, the function definition starts here and these are the statement. We can have one or more number of statements. So see out length into breadth. This is the formula and close the function. So here this is closing the function. So function definition is inside this. Then we are closing the class here. So this is class. We are closing the class with the semicolon. So in this example, we can notice that the function definition for get data definition is inside the class, and even for put data function, the function definition is we have defined inside the class. So this is an example for function definition inside the class. Now how do we access the data members now? As void main is the main function. Inside this, the first line of main function would be declaration of a class. The first line of the main function would be the creation of an object of a class. So here the syntax is like this, rectangle space R2. Here rectangle is name of a class space R2, that is user defined name or identifier. So in this example, R2 is an object here and rectangle is a class here. So R2 is an object of a class rectangle. Now how do we access the data members? With R2 object name dot function name get data. And so when you call this, so immediately we have the control transfer from here to this function get data. It executes these statements. Again the control goes back to next statement in the main function. So here again R2 dot put data. So we are invoking the function here. So or we can say we are calling the function here. So accordingly the control transferred from here to this statement here inside the class. So this is how to write a function definition inside the class, and in the main function creation of an object, then we are calling a functions or invoking a function. So this is an example program to show the working of a function definition inside the class. Students, let us continue our discussion in my next class. Thank you so much.